Okay, thank you everyone for being here. Good morning, good morning. I welcome you to the Caregivers program, the spring mini conference entitled Self-Care for the Caregiver. We're so glad you found the time to join us today from the comfort of your home and gave some time for yourself. Caregiving is stressful and can be overwhelming at times. As nurturers and as partners in services to others, we often do not take time for ourselves. This lack of self-care can be detrimental to our physical and mental health. We must take steps to take care of ourselves before we take care of others. When that oxygen mask drops down, we must put it on for ourselves first before we can help others. This puts you in a better position to help your loved one. My name is Kathleen Koenig-Stoffel. I'm the Caregiver Program Manager here at the Baltimore County Department of Aging and also a fellow caregiver. We have a fantastic lineup today of speakers who will be sharing their experience and expertise on self-care. Our hope is that each and every one of you will have a new way of looking at your caregiving from a perspective of peace and relaxation, a new strategy to try, a new resource you plan to use, and a new piece of information that you can take with you today. Some housekeeping before we start. Will be muted during the presentation, and you will have the chat function to ask any of your questions. There is a closed captioning button in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. That is a blue circle if you need it. And in order to, Ethel, if you could bring up the WebEx tools. The lower left side also, well, the left side is your closed captioning, and on the right side, there is a bubble for the chat. So you can ask your questions there, and then the questions will be spoken for you and answered by our presenters at the end of each presentation. If you need assistance, you can call 410-887-2002 to speak to one of our wonderful communication team members who are here today supporting the conference. And we are also supported today by the generosity of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, led by Lynn McCavey, our wonderful ombudsman manager here at the BCDA, and fellow sister Jerome Boyd. They will be running our prize wheel at our break and at the end of the day, and distribute prizes directly to you, to your door via Amazon. So we ask that you stay on a few minutes at the beginning of the break and before the closing remarks. Now it is my honor to present to you our Director of the BCDA, Ms. Laura Riley.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic Caregiver Educational Center session created by our wonderful Caregiver Program team. Thank you to Kathleen, to Morgan Brown, Sharon Rose, Emily Kearns, and Kendra Jones, who work hard every day to assure the caregivers of Baltimore County receive the support and guidance they need to be successful partners in the caregiving journey. As Kathleen said, self-care, the theme of today's event, is critical to your health and well-being as a caregiver. It's easy to get caught up in that day-to-day caregiving role that you have and neglect your own needs. We found this virtual type of activity takes some of the stress off of travel and respite care, and you can be in the comfort of your own home in your favorite chair with your favorite beverage, and if you're like me, your favorite cozy blanket. So we at the Department of Aging honor you during this Older Americans Month as you support those needing care. So sit back, relax, take a deep breath, and I'll turn it back to Kathleen. Thanks for letting me greet you this morning.
Thank you, Laura. We offer multiple services for our caregivers, including resource sessions, which talk about the resources that we provide in the program as well as other programs within the BCDA. We provide one-on-one consultations. We also offer a respite and supplemental stipend for caregivers that provides financial support. We offer a caregiver connection newsletter that we produce quarterly. We also produce a grandparent newsletter that we provide to our grandparents once a year, and we're hoping to change that and bring that to our grandparents um, at least twice a year, if not more. We offer educational programs. We have conferences such as the Spring Mini Conference each year, as well as an annual conference coming in November. So stay tuned for those details as we work on confirming a date and a location, but we'll be coming to a senior center near you. We offer the Building Better Caregivers program through our evidence-based research program. We support that every year, sometimes twice a year. We provide evening educational sessions. We have one coming up on May 17th, which is pain treatment and mood with Emerald Jenkins. So we hope that you will join us for that evening event. And that is the third Wednesday of the month. We have additional educational presentations that we support through Opal, which is our online and virtual senior center. We have a presentation that's going to be coming soon to our YouTube channel, Anticipatory Grief. And we also support within our caregiver program our Dementia Friendly Initiative. And Emily Kearns is our wonderful coordinator of that program, and she offers First Tuesdays Dementia Friends informational sessions from 11 to 12:15. And we also support 2 memory cafes. There's the Nature Memory Cafe at Talmar off of Cramwell Valley. And we have a memory cafe with a Jewish Services Center. So as you can see, we offer many supports to our caregivers. And we hope that you'll join us for some more events that we offer. And also, if you haven't had a consultation, to give us a call. If you have any questions or concerns, we'd be happy to help you.
Also, I'd like to remind everyone that the Baltimore County Department of Aging has a great Facebook page where we post many of our caregiving resources. If you could just like our page, you'll populate on your personal page and you'll see what's going on. I encourage all of you to do that. Oh, a question came in. A new caregiver wants to know what the memory cafes are about. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Kathleen?
Sure, I can. Or Emily is with us today. I don't know if Emily is willing to pop on and share some of the background about those 2 cafes.
Sure, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Kearns. As Kathleen said, I coordinate Dementia Friendly Baltimore County. So Memory Cafes, it's a really exciting activity that you can do as a caregiver, a care partner, along with your loved one who lives with cognitive challenges, including dementia. So the model came to the US over 10 years ago from the Netherlands. And it's really wonderful. And this is what it's about. You go to an event, say the Nature Cafe at Talmar, and there's no talk of dementia. It's one of the few times you can be together and not be at a medical appointment where you can enjoy refreshments, enjoy a sense of community in some meaningful engagement. So the last time I went to Talmar, for example, there were a group, and you wouldn't know who was living with dementia and who was the care partner. A group, 3 generations actually, meeting, and they were planting little lavender plants, and they had Cuban music in the background because some of the folks were from Cuba. So it's time where you enjoy an activity. I call it restorative respite because oftentimes respite is when you leave a loved one at a program so you can take a break. And that's important too. But this is restorative because the 2 of you can be doing something together in community, and you can be the spouse for the first time in a long time. You can feel like a real partner, or you can be the adult child or the adult grandchild. But it's restorative in terms of not having to focus on the disease. It's very uplifting. I've seen people cry with joy at the memory cafes because it's the first time they've been able to really have fun together. So there are 2, as Kathleen said, right now, and there are others. So the one is at Nature Cafe at Talmar Farm and Garden, and you can contact us for any information on that one or the other one too, run by Jewish Community Services, and that's at the Pikesville Library. These are both monthly events. Again, contact Kathleen or myself, the Caregivers program, and we'll be happy to share with you, more about those two cafes. And also, if you're interested in starting one in your community, let us know and we can help support that. Thank you. Thanks, Kathleen.
Okay. Intimate relationships are a source of happiness, security, excitement, tenderness, and many other wonderful qualities and benefits. They also can be a source of frustration, disappointment, hurt, and heartache. In order to maintain a sense of yourself in the relationship, as well as to manage the ups and downs that happen in all intimate relationships, it will be essential that you have the skills in place to center yourself, to find calm or clarity when managing upsets. Meditation can support and ground you, as well as provide calm and clarity. What is loving kindness? Metta is the Pali word for loving kindness practice. Centuries old practices that originate from the Buddhist tradition. It is a great way to cultivate our propensity for kindness, compassion, and love for yourself and all others in your world and the world as a whole. It involves mentally sending goodwill, kindness, and warmth toward others by silently repeating a series of mantras or phrases. Phrases are traditionally something like, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be free of suffering. There are 5 stages to the meditation. You begin by saying these phrases to yourself, and then increasingly widen your group. So you start with someone you love or feel close to, then someone neutral, someone you don't have any particular feeling toward, and then someone you have a negative feeling about or have difficulty with. And finally, you expand it out to all beings. The meditation teacher and author Sharon Salzberg is credited with bringing loving kindness meditation to the West. And she writes, to reteach a thing its loveliness is the nature of metta. Through loving kindness, everyone and everything can flower again from within. The practice of loving kindness is about cultivating love as a strength, a muscle, a tool that challenges our tendency to see people, including ourselves, as disconnected, statistically and rigidly isolated from one another. Loving kindness is about opening ourselves up to others with compassion and equanimity, which is a challenging exercise. It requires us to push back against assumptions, prejudices, and labels that most of us internalize. What are some of the benefits of loving kindness? Modern science increasingly backs loving kindness meditation as a powerful practice which brings a host of emotional, social, neurological, and physical health benefits. Some of the studies in loving kindness meditation have shown it is associated with increased positive emotions, such as love, joy, awe, and hope, which led to improvements in purpose in life, social support, and life satisfaction. It has been shown to reduce self-criticism and depressive symptoms in self-critical individuals. It increases our empathy. It improves our vagal tone. The vagus nerve is connected with our rest and digestive system. It also reduces symptoms of chronic lower pain in the back, including pain, anger, and psychological distress. It is shown to slower biological aging. Telomeres are genetic materials which shorten due to stress and aging. In women in a study who experienced loving kindness meditation, had longer telomere length compared to matched control group over a period of time. It also provides immediate relaxation benefits. While most of these studies looked into 6 to 7 week programs, just 10 minutes of loving kindness meditation, which we'll do today, has an immediate, measurable, relaxing effect as shown by activity in the parasympathetic nervous system, and it also lowers our respiration. It has been shown to assist caregivers who are faced by multiple challenges in their daily lives. Loving kindness meditation can reduce stress, fatigue, and burnout by helping to maintain overall well-being. The goal of loving kindness meditation is to develop a state of unconditional kindness, caring, and compassion. It recognizes that we are one within ourselves and with others for the desire for peace and happiness. Again, there will be 5 stages to this meditation, and you can change the words as you grow your practice. Stage 1 will be loving kindness for yourself. Stage 2, loving kindness for a good friend or family member. Stage 3, loving kindness for a neutral person. Stage 4, loving kindness for a difficult person. And stage 5, loving kindness for all beings. Let us begin the meditation. To begin, please settle into a comfortable place. While sitting, uncross your legs. Place both feet on the floor. Rest your hands in your lap or by your sides. Be aware of your body being supported by the surface in which you are resting. You will start by taking a deep, cleansing breath through your nose, deep into your belly, and then exhale slowly out of your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel your belly rise as you breathe in deeply and exhale slowly. Be present. Now simply follow the movement of your breath with attention. Observe the rise and fall of your breathing. There's no need to force your breath in any way. Just allow it to find its natural depth and rhythm. As you move in and out, draw your attention from your breath to your heart. Place one or both hands over your heart. And as you do this, we will move into stage 1. Now say with sincerity and clarity, either to yourself or out loud, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be loved. Allow any thoughts or feelings freely flow as you repeat these phrases. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be loved. Allow yourself to bathe in the loving presence of your acceptance and compassion. Offer kindness and compassion to yourself for your struggles and your heartaches, for your fears and worries, for your hopes and wishes. Here you are whole. Within your breath, there is a place of peace. Let it flow over you as you repeat, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be loved. Let these words flow through your heart to every cell in your body. From this place of peace, bring awareness to your true spirit. Allow your unique nature to surface. Behold your gifts, for you are like no other. You contribute to this life in so many ways. Notice your contributions. Reflect on the gifts of your mind, your body, and your spirit. Nurture these special qualities with your attention. Now call to mind someone that you care about, a good friend, a family member, someone you have a positive regard for, someone comfortable to be with. Say their name to yourself and feel their presence. It may be helpful to visualize this person sitting in front of you. Direct loving kindness toward this person and repeat the loving kindness words. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. As you say these words, feel the joy in your heart. Feel it as it radiates from your heart to every cell of your body. Visualize it radiating out of your body and touching this person. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. With each wish for them, imagine them receiving your love, kindness, and joy as it envelops their body and spirit. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. Be in this loving moment. Next, direct your phrases to someone to whom you hold no particular positive or negative feelings for, like the mail carrier or the checker at the supermarket or a neighbor. Imagine this person sitting in front of you. Direct loving kindness towards this person. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. As you say these words, feel the joy in your heart. Feel it as it radiates from your heart to every cell of your body. Visualize it radiating out of your body and touching this person. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. With each wish for them, imagine them receiving your love, kindness, and joy as it envelops their body and spirit. Be in this loving moment. Next, think of someone in your life that you're having difficulty with. A family member, a friend, a loved one, a coworker. Someone you're experiencing conflict with, where there is unhealthy communication. Say their name. Imagine them sitting in front of you. Direct loving kindness to this person. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. Sending loving kindness to this person may be difficult. To forgive, to understand, to accept. You may struggle, but just let these feelings wash over you. Do not be harsh with yourself if this is a challenge for you to do. The more that you practice it, the easier it will become. Just continue to say, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. As you say these words, feel the joy in your heart. Feel it as it radiates from your heart to every cell of your body. Visualize it radiating out of your body and touching this person. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. With each wish for them, imagine them receiving your love, your kindness, and joy as it envelops their body and spirit. Be in this loving moment. In this final stage, we foster a sense of kindness to all beings. This is a very nourishing feeling to have. This stage is particularly helpful in connecting you with all other living things through the power of loving kindness and compassion. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings be loved. As you say these words, feel the joy in your heart. Feel it as it radiates from your heart to every cell of your body. Visualize it radiating out of your body and touching the earth and all beings that inhabit it. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be peaceful. May they be loved. With each wish for them, imagine them receiving your love, kindness, and joy as it envelops their body and spirit. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be peaceful. May they be loved. Be in this loving moment. Now return to this space and time. Bring with you the feelings of kindness, peace, well-being, love, and happiness. Carry it with you and share it with others. When you are ready, slowly bring your attention back to your surroundings. Open your eyes and slowly allow your mind and body to adjust. I hope these moments of reflection provided you an opportunity to experience the renewal of love for yourself, for your care partner, and for others. Practice regularly loving kindness meditation can help us develop an attitude to life that is infinitely beneficial to our emotional and spiritual well-being, peace of mind, and joy. How you adapt the practice to your personal circumstances is ultimately up to you, but it remains at its heart a deeply enlivening and potentially transformative process. Namaste. Okay, well, thank you everyone for participating in loving kindness meditation. Next, we will have Al Muehlberger. I have the privilege of welcoming Al. Al was a Maryland licensed massage therapist for 20 years before retiring, a community college professor, and currently an active advocate and practitioner of holistic health and various related senior activities at our Baltimore County Department of Aging Senior Centers and beyond. He also received the Maryland Senior Citizen Hall of Fame Top Award in 2022 and was his mother's caregiver for 18 years. Welcome, Al.
Well, thank you, Kathleen. And again, everybody, I apologize for getting into this system in a careless kind of way. So I do need a massage. I just came in at the tail end of Kathleen's meditation presentation, and boy, I needed that to calm down in order to do a good job here.
Okay.
All right, she gave you a brief summary of my background, and I want to add to that a little bit more because I want you to be aware of something that after 40 years of one kind of career, I decided around the age of 60 that I had enough politics and bureaucracy and the stress I was associated with, and I decided I'm going to get out of that and change and do something different. I became a licensed massage therapist, excuse me, in the state of Maryland, and also, excuse me again, that's the stress response, by the way. I became a licensed massage therapist around the age of 60 and started my own practice. And then the Community College of Baltimore County hired me as an assistant professor to create the degree program in that topic. And I did that for a few years and then decided that's enough of academia. I became a adjunct professor there and taught holistic health classes for about 6 years to over 600 students while I'm doing my own private practice. I've been doing that private practice since the last 20 years, as Kathleen said. So during the pandemic, I decided, no, I'm going to stop doing that. I was getting older. I was 82 at the time. I'm 84 now. And I thought, okay, that's enough of that, but I want to keep teaching. So that's what I do in the Department of Aging for the senior centers. That's one background story to add some credibility to what I'm about to show you and teach you here today. The other part of this that I want you to be aware of, she mentioned caregiving my mom. The situation happened where I was working overseas for the United Nations, coming back here periodically, and one call came from her that my dad had fallen, suffered a concussion, and he was going in the hospital for an operation to determine some degree of whatever the tumor was doing to him. And I flew back here to be part of that, determined it was cancerous. He was going to die in 6 months. So I had to turn around and look for a hospice situation for him and my mother. And the end result of that was he died of a blood clot while I'm doing all that searching. So I had to shift gears and then bury my father. Went back overseas, had a guilty conscience with 2 siblings that couldn't help my mom, and decided to come back. I did that in 1992, and I was her caregiver for 18 years, initially in a very low-key way. But then as she got older and the situation got worse, more intense, and she ultimately died in a nursing home in 2010. So this experience, I think, gives me some good basis for showing what I'm going to do, which I've done for myself, and to get the point across that I have empathy for what you may be going through with your own circumstances. Okay, so with what is this thing called massage, right? The law has a nice formal definition to it. It's the intelligent application and manipulation of soft tissue in the body to help relieve tension, as well as to hopefully improve circulation. And that's the simplified definition. Now, when we're going to apply it, keep in mind you are a container, right? You're walking around with about 65% of your body content being water. You've got 206 bones, you've got over 600 muscles, you've got a couple hundred joints, you're full of pumps and pipes, and you've got pulleys and levers. And that makes up the human body for all 7 billion people on this planet. The point about it is the way you're constructed and all is meant to move. We're not stationary objects, and all of those things will move better. They will move more easily. They will be moving without restrictions and pain if you do something about getting a massage. So that's a nice thought. Massages are wonderful things to have. I try to get one once a month if I can from a friend who's still licensed. And she went to school when I did for that training, and we do some exchanges with that as well as Reiki, and that keeps us healthy while we do our job. She also did some caregiving. So I have the idea of a massage. You might think of it being in a spa or something of that nature. And those are very pleasant, and I highly recommend if you can get one a month to do that. But in the meantime, if you can't, you can do something for yourself in the way of a self massage, which is what I'm going to show you now while we do this particular presentation. Okay, just to give you some emphasis on where it's done, I have done it as the resident therapist for the Lyric Opera Company in Baltimore, doing the conductor and singers and the some members of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. I've worked on the river dancers when they came to Baltimore because they are like athletes with their particular legs and the Irish step dancing. They're entitled to massages between their matinee and evening performances by union contract. I've done it in hospitals for doctors and nurses. I've done it while somebody was passing away in the ICU at Franklin Square, a man who was dying of, he wanted that in his living will because he was getting massages from me when he was doing chemotherapy. And he wanted that to be one of the last things happening while he was in that circumstance at the invitation of his family. I've done it with a team during the 9/11 crisis at the Pentagon, where we formed a team and went to the Crystal City Marriott, did chair massages for firemen, and did the belly work for the firemen's dogs that were helping them find different body parts and all over at the Pentagon. And I've done it at fairs and festivals and at the end of also certain marathons. So it can be applied in all kinds of circumstances because the human body is everywhere. Okay, well, so with that definition of massage being the manipulation of soft tissue, I want to tell you some of the benefits. So I guess, Ethel, could you put up that attachment I sent called the massage benefits? Hopefully you all can see that. Generally, we're breaking it down into 3 parts. I am breaking it down, and that's the mind, body, spirit idea of holistic health. So your physical improvements can occur by the way of relieving tension and so forth and pain in your muscles, as well as increasing circulation of the blood and the lymph. Lymph does not have any pumps, so it depends on movement of other parts of your body to move that along in order to get rid of the bad cells. When you look at the mental aspect of it, you've all got this aspect where stuff is constantly interrupting your life. It's coming into you from all directions regarding either the caregiving you're doing, which is very significant, or it could also be happening by way of financial situations or maybe stress on the job or something happening in the home and the relationship basis. And what the self massage or any massage can do is interrupt that stress and allow you to then redirect your attention. So it gives you some relaxed mental focus. And it also can therefore increase your clarity because not as much is going on in that prefrontal cortex as it was before you gave yourself a massage. Jumping down here to the emotional aspects, the last piece of this triangle, if you will. When you're getting a massage, it helps you feel cared for. It helps you feel loved. And even when you're doing it for yourself, you're proving that you have control of who you are. It is your body. You are taking care of it. And that sense of confidence that you build up, that you have a way to help yourself, can do a lot towards you helping others. Now, I'm going to try something here. Can everybody see that picture? Ethel? Am I
Can you hold
holding?
it a little higher?
I
There you
got it.
go. Now we
Can
can
ev-
see it.
Can everybody see it? Guess who that is? You can tell me, Ethel, who that is. That's my mother. Now, the point is, she's in a nursing home at that point. Now, what I'm looking at, the reason I'm pointing it out for is the emotional aspects of the self massage, because I used to do that for her, is putting my arm around her shoulder. And you see where my right hand is, it's over her heart. And the point I want to make is even if I'm sitting there and I can just rub her shoulders a little bit, that connection between my left arm around her shoulder and my right hand over, the opposite, right hand over the shoulder and left hand on the heart, it made her feel secure. And I like to think that prompted the smile on her face every time I visited her. So I'm suggesting to you, if you're going to do this for other people, think of that enclosure where you're giving that person this comfortable feeling that they're being protected, especially with that hand over the heart. Okay, Ethel, the next page would be the massage cautions and contraindications. Now, when you're doing the massages on yourself, even, this is what I want to point out. I'm not going to dwell on any of these in any great detail. I will say that these attachments, these two plus the technique can be requested and it can be sent to you electronically by the Kathleen, I guess, through the caregiver program. So here we're talking about some very common sense things. Most of it is letting your immune system do its job. Now, immune is a word that comes from the Latin word immunis, and that means to defend. So your body has built-in systems and techniques and functions that are going to protect you from everything that's not you. So when you look at the middle of that page and you see things like swollen joints or hot, red, painful areas, your immune system is working. It's flooding there to take care of those dead cells that are there or the bad cells. You therefore don't want to massage over an area like that. You don't want to massage over bruises. If you had recent surgery, that's a hole in your body. Your immune system's trying to create scar tissue to cover up that hole so that you can heal better. You don't want to do it over where there might be active cancer because the potential there is to cause metastasis. If you're having a fever, etc., that's not a good idea because your immune system is working again to keep you calm. If you go up to, or to stay at the bottom there, you don't want to have a situation where you do already have a deep vein thrombosis or a blood clot. You don't want to have to move that along because that could be very dangerous for you. Going up above at the top piece of that page, Ethel, you don't want to be massaging over varicose veins. And if you've got something contagious like athlete's foot, which is very contagious, that you can spread to other people very easily. And then in the next line where it says children and the frail elderly, even for yourself, you could end up bruising yourself easily if you do something incorrectly, or for a small child. If you're going to do this for a caregiver that's, say, very old, you got to be careful about brittle bones. Okay, that's it for the attachment, Ethel. Now we're going to get into techniques, and there is nothing to show you because I'm going to talk you through this. So you can pull down that attachment. Thank you. All right, now what we're going to do a self massage. Now I can't see you because I really like to be able to do that and watch you do this, but nevertheless, follow me on the screen as much as you can. You'll see most of my upper body, but I'm not going to, unless I stand up, you're not going to see any of the lower. So let's start off here with your face. Now I only see Ethel's face stationary on my screen. I don't know why, but that's okay. It's a nice looking face. So what I want you to do right now, you got to do this and you got to get silly with me. I want you to move your face in all directions you possibly can. Move your lower jaw and your upper jaw and your lips and your eyes. Don't make me think or have me think I'm doing this by myself because I feel silly already. But nevertheless, move your face in every direction you possibly can. Lower your eyebrows, raise your eyebrows, move your eyes left and right. Move your jaw left and right. Are you doing this, Ethel?
All in.
All right. Take your fingertips now, the pads on your fingers, and now I want you, just like a piano, play your face. I don't know what tune you're going to use, but go ahead and take that and tap it all over your face. I don't know about you, but that effort of me trying to get in here online, I need this. Okay, now make a small fist, a light fist, not a one where you're going to punch somebody, but do this. Now I want you to pound your scalp. Pound the top of your head. This object sitting on the top of your shoulders is about 10% of your body weight, and of course it contains your brain. But it's got muscles all over it, a lot of muscles in your face, by the way. But here we're pounding the top of your head. So try it with me, please. I can't tell in order to catch you not doing it. So I'm trusting you right now. So pound it. Now what I want you to do is grab your hair. Now you all know that hair cells outside the skin level are dead. That's dead cells in there. It's just keratin. Underneath the skin is the real stuff. But up here, that's why it doesn't bleed when you have it cut. I can't hardly pull any because I'm going bald and don't have much, but you can grab your hair and I want you to pull it out very softly and lightly. Don't pull it out. I don't mean pull it out. I mean pull it. And you know how that feels when you're going to a salon and get your hair washed, etc., like that. That is a good feeling. And when I was doing cancer patients, I forgot to tell you, I did a lot of work for the American Cancer Society, and I was certified to do post-mastectomy massages for scar tissue, as well as lymph drainage massage on people that had cancer or breast surgeries. So pull that hair a little bit, if you will, and that'll make you feel good. When I used to do cancer patients and they tended to migrate to me for some reason, when they're bald and putting their hands on the head, that gave them some sort of a feeling of relief just to feel someone touching it, because that's consciously on their mind all the time. So pulling that hair. Now I want to take your two fingers on either hand and put them on the side of your temples. You have a muscle up here called the temporalis. I want you to make circles around that. Please do it with me. I can't tell if you're cheating or not, so I'm trusting you. Do circles all around that side of your head as much as you can. And go all the way across to your forehead. Now come down to your eyebrows. Take the forefinger and your thumb and put it on your eyebrows and pull across those eyebrows. By the way, you have a muscle that starts here and goes all the way back. That's what allows you to raise those eyebrows as well as to scour. All right, you want to be able to pinch across there your eyebrows. Now, while you're moving there, come down to this lower portion of your jaw and squeeze along the jaw. You can tell I have a beard, so sometimes that feels good for me to do that, to pinch all along this particular mandible. Now, when you're up there, get up here where the jaw bone meets the upper part. So you've got the lower and upper part of the bone here. And put your fingers in that indentation. And what you're basically touching is a temporomandibular joint, so your TMJ. And by the way, that's the strongest part of your body right now. Or a couple of 150 pounds per square inch when you're actually chewing. Now reach back and go into your ears and rub around the inside of your ears. The smallest bone in your body is inside that ear canal called the stapes. Now grab your earlobes and pull them down or pull them out. You want to stretch all of that as much as you can. Come back here to under your cheeks and massage underneath your cheeks for those same two fingers and rub up and down the cartilage on your nose. All right. It's feeling good to me for my own face. Giving yourself a good facial. Okay, now that you're in this area, I'd like you to take these same two fingers or three and go behind your skull and feel a ridge line back there. It's called the occipital ridge. You'll feel a ridge line at the base of your skull. Now take your fingers and rub it back and forth on the back of your neck. Many times when I ask people, where do you feel you're stressed? They're going to say back here in this area, right around the base of the skull, leading out to the tops of their shoulders. So you can feel that ridge line in there. Go ahead and rub it. Now, what's important back there is you have a back muscle. It's called a trapezius. It looks like a kite, like a massive triangle. Its origin points are right back here at the base of the skull. And that muscle proceeds out to the shoulders. And then if you looked at your back, it would go all the way down to your T12 thoracic vertebrae. So the top part of the kite has its origins here and its insertions are down the bottom. And what that allows it to do The origin is at the bottom. The insertions are up here. It allows you to keep your head upright because gravity is constantly pulling it this way. You want to be able to keep it back upright by allowing that muscle to work. So when you're massaging back there, you're massaging that insertion point for the trapezius. All right, now while I'm at this point, I want to make sure you understand that muscles, you have 600 of them in the body, they only pull. I'll say it again, they only pull. Even if you are doing a push-up, you're going to be using triceps to get you off the floor. Remember I said you're pulling things. So you're rubbing that very well. If you want to add something, here's a towel, right? Nice pink towel. You can put that behind your neck and give it the old push-pull type of motion. And that'll help you massage back there. Okay, with that in mind, you got the same hands, put it on the top of your shoulder, and you usually will get a lot of relief back here. And press in there as tight as you possibly can into that upper portion, because that's where the trapezius's top part goes out to the ends of your shoulders. So push in there and squeeze, not squeeze, but push in there as best you can with these particular appendages called your hands. Okay, now while you're in this area, what I want you to do, we're going to rotate between right and left. Reach across your body and grab the shoulder. Now, out there on that shoulder, you've got a muscle. It's called a deltoid, shaped like a helmet. It's over top the rotator cuff. You want to be able to see how my hand is moving. That stroke in Swedish massage is called a petrissage. It means to knead, as if you were kneading a loaf of bread when you're baking. You want to squeeze that as much as you can. Now work your way down to your biceps. And of course, you know your biceps are going to be right there at the top of the elbow. And you're petrissaging it, you're kneading it, you're squeezing it as much as you can. Now keep in mind, I'm going to get the point across here about origins and insertion. The bicep originates up here near your rotator cuff. The tendons connect muscle to bone, ligaments connect bone to bone. So that tendon starts, it goes through the bicep and it inserts in your forearm down here. So when your brain sends a signal, flex my elbow, this is what's going to happen. That's the pulley lever idea I mentioned to you. The bicep will shorten and the tricep on the opposite side. Thank you, Isaac Newton. For every action in one direction, you've got an equal opposite reaction on the other side. So the tricep has elongated, the bicep has shortened. You don't want to walk around like that all day. So you're going to tell the tricep, hey, shorten, and it then lets the bicep elongate. And that's happening all over your body with everything that you're doing. All right, so now you're going to take that bicep muscle and you're going to petrissage it. You're going to knead it. Go down to your forearm. The very interesting thing about there, you've got two bones, the radius and the ulna. If you held your hand out in front of you, that's called supination. Turning it over is pronation. So you've got one bone rolling over the other. That's got to be nice and loose in there for you to do that. So you want to be able to try it while you're with me right now. Go ahead and turn that hand back and forth, back up and down, up and down. Now, as you go down to your hand, here in this particular appendage, you got two of them, right? Each one's got 27 bones in it. Tons of joints and ligaments in there. So take your thumb and massage your hand as deep as you possibly can. Go ahead and massage your hand in the palm of your hand. And then what I want you to do is to go ahead and take each finger and rotate your other hand around it in order to sort of squeeze them and get some blood moving. Okay, do as much as you possibly can on your hand. Now go ahead and shake your hand. Put it down by your side and just shake it. Now go over here and do the other shoulder. Reach across, grab that shoulder muscle that looks like a helmet. By the way, those two muscles allow you to do this, abduction and adduction, bringing your hands outward and also bringing them in. You want to go ahead and keep massaging that and then go down to your biceps and then go down to your forearm and do the same thing where you're you're turning your hands over and so forth and causing a rotation effect to happen. And then grab each finger. And then massage the palm of that hand as much as you can and with a lot of strength from yourself. Okay, one other thing you can do is to take your hand and pound your shoulders. That's the other technique you can to loosen that up and maybe release some tension. And do that on each side. All right, that's going to be taking care of the shoulders and the arms. Let's now go to your, well, we're into the hands, and we just did the squeezing of the palms together. The other thing I want you to do is see these two digits right here? That's what makes you human. That's a heck of a statement to make. There's no other mammal, and we're part of that species, if you will, in that classification, that can do this. Now you're going to want to have to keep those very, very flexible. And one way to do that is to press them together. Take each finger and press it together with the thumb and the forefinger and the middle finger, and then the ring finger, and then the pinky, the ring finger, the middle finger, the forefinger, and keep those hands as flexible as you possibly can. All right. Now, one thing I want to show you a little bit of what you can do for yourself, stretching, which I believe in very much. If you're going to do a stretch, always stretch something to the initial point of resistance and then go farther the next time. So take your hand like I'm doing it, put this hand in front of the other and pull it back till you feel resistance and then let it go. You don't ever pull it back all the way right away because you could end up injuring yourself. So the next time you want to go back a little farther, then come back to normal. Then go back a little farther again, trying to stretch everything in that wrist area. And do the same thing with the other hand in terms of flexion and extension. You want to pull it back a little bit. Now, by the way, you'll notice on my left-handed shear, if you see it, there's a black wristband around there. Well, I'm going through a wound care situation because I just had a situation, a biopsy for a squamous cell carcinoma. It's not cancerous deep enough to cause me a problem, but I've got a wound there where my immune system is trying to help to heal it. It's got a bandage over top some gauze, and I'm using the wristband to just kind of protect it in case I bump into something. Everything is okay, but I can massage around that area. I didn't do it initially when I first had the wound happening because the biopsy went pretty deep. But I'm just trying to get across to you again, knowing your body and knowing what you can do to take care of yourself. You can even do these self massages, which will strengthen my hand and that part of my body right now. Okay, now we're going to go to the other bottom half. Let's say we're going to talk about your legs and your feet. Now, when we're talking legs, I can't really show, I can stand up here, but it's going to be a little silly. But where you're sitting right now, assume you're sitting and you've got some loose clothing on. Put your hand on your thigh. And what I want you to do, each thigh, well, you can do two of them at the same time. Put both hands, one on each thigh. And now that's the quadriceps you're touching, the thigh muscles, quadriceps. Now, I assume everybody knows who Justin Tucker is, the goal of, the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens. In your body, remember I said muscles only pull, muscles go one direction. You got to have muscles on the opposite side pulling it back. Hamstring muscles in the back of where you are right now with your hands will flex your knee. It will bring your lower leg backwards. The quadriceps, because of where they originate on your pelvic area, it crosses the knee to your tibia below the knee. And when you shorten that quadricep muscle, boing, your front part of your leg, the bottom part's going to project forward. So what you want to do, because you are getting up and down in chairs, going up and down steps, take your hands now and just grab a whole chunk. You can't see me doing it, but go ahead and grab your legs, the top of your legs, just like a big piece of meat, and shake it. Shake it as hard and as fast as you possibly can. So this is a very large muscle here. Your femur is the longest bone in the body. Smallest was in your ear canal, called the stapes. That helps you send signals to your brain so you can hear what I'm saying. All right, so shake that thigh muscle. Now, you can reach down, if you can reach down to your calf muscle, you want to massage that gastrocnemius. You want to massage that calf muscle as best you can, petricizing it again, squeezing it as if it were a loaf of bread. Do that from the right one and then to the left one, which is what I'm doing now. Then put your feet out in front of you and go ahead and clockwise move them in circles. Do it with your feet right now, even though I can't see you. I'm trusting you. You move it clockwise and then turn around and go the opposite way. Now, if you can reach your toes, you should try to do for your toes what I just did for my hands. I can't reach my toes. That's a problem because of a bad back that I have. One of the reasons I'm not doing massages anymore. Okay, so you want to do those things in clockwise, counterclockwise positions, and maybe if you can reach the toes, go ahead and massage them. But if you can't, here's a couple of devices here. You could put these under your feet while you're watching TV or at any other place where you're sitting, silently in a particular position. So you could put a tennis ball onto the bottom of your feet and roll that across the floor. This is a sponge ball you can use, or this is a racquetball, which I wish I could still play tennis or racquetball, but I can't. The other thing you can do is find a handy dandy can of Trader Joe's organic kidney beans. I'm kidding, but you could just take any can, put that on the floor and roll your feet over it as much as you possibly can to help soften the tissue on the soles of your feet. Okay, that's what you're going to do for the feet. Now you have 26 bones down there. Very, very important part of your body. When you think about it, with these two with 27 each and the 2 feet 26 each, that's a little bit more than half the total bones in your body. So these and the bottom part, you really have to take care of I think, individually. All right, now let's go to the back. The back is going to be hard. If you can, reach behind you right now and see if you can rub your kidneys. Try to go behind you and see if you can rub your kidneys up and down. That might even tickle a little bit. And on top of those kidneys are 2 adrenal glands, which is where your adrenaline and cortisol comes from for you to be able to do the fight or flight response. So try to rub those kidneys if you possibly can. Now, if you can reach your shoulder blades, meaning those little angel wings in the back, then you should try to go ahead and massage at least the top of them if you can't go all the way down. One other solution to all that, what did I do with it? Well, the point is you could take a towel and you can put that behind your back like I'm doing under my armpits here. And you can still do that push-pull effect on your back all the way down your waist, all the way up to under your armpits if you possibly can. It's the same thing as what a massage would do for you. All right, now, does everybody here know about KC and the Sunshine Band? I can't see you raise your hand, but I'm assuming you know something from the 60s. They had a song called Shake, 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 Shake Your Booty. Well, you know what I'm getting to. The next muscles I want to talk about are your buttocks, your gluteals. You have 3 of them. You have a minimus, medius, and a maximus. The medius and minimus are like off to the side, but that maximus, you know, is very, very visible and very, very prominent. You lay on it at night, you're sitting at breakfast on it, you're sitting in your car to go somewhere, you're sitting at a computer all day, or whatever you're doing for a living, you're sitting on a car to go home, you're sitting to watch television. That large gluteus maximus is what you use to get up out of a chair or go up and down stairs. It's a big muscle and it needs to be massaged. So you're by yourself, you're in a sort of state of privacy, grab hold of it and shake your booty. I'm hoping to hear laughter, but I don't. Wish I could. I'd like to see you in person doing that because that's what I would do. I'd stand up and aim myself at you and I would squeeze that booty, that gluteus maximus, because that's a muscle. And you need to keep that from after you're sitting on it all that much to move around. Okay, so that's for the back. Now, I think I've got some time here to talk about the abdominal area. Now, what we're talking about here is below the rib cage and let's say down to around your belly button. We won't go any farther than that. So what you can do is right now put your hand in that area just below your rib cage and your belly and go back and forth, right and left, like maybe you can see me doing a little bit of that. You're massaging your abdomen. Now, why is that important? You can also make little circles and everything around that abdomen like I'm doing right now. Just make circles around it. All right, let me give you a little bit of a physiology lesson. You're a caregiver, and sometimes you're not going to be able to eat regularly, or you're going to eat in a hurry, or you may eat the wrong thing, or you're trying to de-stress. So I'll give my life for a bag of Utz potato chips when I'm not feeling good. And if they don't have them in heaven, I'm not going. Point is, in terms of what you eat, you might be affecting your energy levels and how you're going to help the caregiver. So the way that all works, you put it in your mouth, your tongue has some muscles helping it, your teeth are chewing it, acids and enzymes and whatever, and some saliva is all working to create what's called a bolus. That's making its way down your esophagus, which moves in a peristaltic way, like pushing toothpaste out of a tube. It plops very slowly into your stomach. Stomach starts to accept it and agitate, and it might stay in there from 2 to 4 hours, all that food that you're eating, right? Hopefully it's a proper food. Now you move from the stomach, after you interact with the liver a little bit for fat and bile. It moves into the small intestine. It's called the small intestine because it's not very tiny. It's because the circumference is small. But it can be good a dozen feet long. And my now comparison would be when you watch the doctor shows and you see them zeroing in on somebody's stomach when they're doing an operation, you see all those little long things laying around inside that belly in fluid of some kind. That's your small and large intestine. The small intestine is where all of your digestion takes place. As that food is moving through, the vitamins and minerals and all that good stuff or junk is being extracted and feeding your organs in your body. As it moves along, it eventually has that solid material that moves into your large intestine. And there, the water is being absorbed. And as it moves along in your large intestine, and it's large not again because it's very, very long, it's because the circumference is wider because you've got physical material in there. So as it moves along your large intestine, it moves in a peristaltic way over towards your rectum and then out through the anus, and therefore you can defecate. The reason I bring that up, and I've been through this myself, where you can get constipated because you're, first of all, your circadian rhythms are out of whack. The normal things you might normally do are suddenly interrupted. And moving that waste material, it becomes very important. If you don't, okay, constipation can set in, or you could have a diarrhea condition because of the way you're eating and how your body has been thrown out of its natural rhythms. So what I want to tell you about is as the small intestine dumps into your colon area, I might as well stand up to do this. It's going to empty into the right-hand side of your body, and therefore it moves in an ascending way up that lower region. Transverse colon goes across and then down into the rectum in a descending fashion. So it's ascend, transverse, and descend, and then out of the body at the proper time. That could take a day. It could take even longer than a day for all of that process to work. And you could end up getting constipated. I've got to tell you this story. My mother, while I was caregiving her, she had to have a heart operation. The way to set it up in the house I grew up in, she had to stay on the sofa in the living room. The porta pot was next to her. So I'd go over there. We had other visitors watching over her because she was somebody that would still try to go up and down steps, which she wasn't supposed to do while she's healing. So anyway, Albert, my mom says, she called me Albert. Only my mom can call me that, by the way, or could call me. So Albert, I haven't been to the bathroom for a few days. Okay, that's normal after you have surgery of some kind. You've had drugs in you, and that can cause you to be constipated. I did after I've had 2 hip replacement surgeries, so the same thing happened with me. But I had someone that gave me massages, so I didn't have that problem. But okay, Mom, let me massage you. No, Mom, let me massage you in your stomach and your abdominal area. No. Why? Because you're my son and I don't want you to touch me there. Well, eventually she relented, right? I go home, maybe 2, 3 hours later, I get a phone call. Albert, what did you do? This is the best bowel movement I've ever had in my life. Well, okay, you should be laughing right now and chuckling. I get over to my mom's house maybe a couple of days later. She's sitting down with a neighbor having a cup of coffee. Ethel, let me tell you, if you ever get constipated, here's my son's phone number. He'll be able to take care of you at the drop of a hat. That's the reputation I had in Highlandtown for a little while anyway, based upon what my mother felt was something successful. Now, I'm only using that to describe the situation that you can massage that condition and help it along. So go ahead and do that right now. Bring your hand up from that lower right-hand side of your abdominal region, not all the way deep, but maybe around the belly button part. Bring it up in the ascending way, take it across the horizontal transverse position to the left side, and let it go down in a descending way into the rectum and then out through the body. And that's how you can help yourself with the abdomen. All right, so that's a little bit of physiology for you. I don't know where I am time-wise, but again, I want to tell you that you can help yourself. That's one way. The stretches are also an added capability, something I recommend every day as you possibly can. I can tell you one thing that I do. This is a grip. I'm 84, so as we get older, you may already know people where you may have a little tremors every now and then. So I try to keep my hands flexible. And one thing I do use when I'm watching TV or whatever is just a hand grip to help keep my hands strong. Now, I will tell you this, when I used to visit my mother, I visited her frequently in the nursing home. I try to challenge her mentally and say, Mom, she loved to have me there all the time. The nursing home didn't want me to do that because then she grew dependent on me and they couldn't help her as much. So I'd say, Mom, I have a sense of humor with her. We used to laugh a lot, and I'd ask her to write me a note. And I still have that note. I won't show it to you because it might make me cry. It says, I love when my son comes to visit me because he makes me laugh. All scribbly and whatever, but it's just obvious enough that you can read it. I really liked that sentence because it made all this effort really worthwhile that she could acknowledge that. At the very end, she could just barely recognize me. But I like to think that this business of touching her and using what I was doing for myself with you, I can also apply it to her in very gentle ways. Okay, so I'm going to say that's the end of my presentation, and I'm going to hold up the contact name here. I am a holistic health advocate. I practice it. I believe it. It's complementary to Western medicine's approach to just drugs and surgery. And if you want to discuss anything I just said or anything else about that topic, my name is Al Muehlberger. That's my phone number, 410-686-0250. And my email is tigerspirit38@gmail.com. Okay, so now today, they're commemorating the Star Wars series, right? So I can end this by saying, may the fourth be with you. And also say namaste, as Kathleen said at the end of her meditation, which basically and literally simply means we're on this journey together. And if I can help you in any way, I'd be glad to do it. and vice versa. So with that in mind, I'll just say namaste and end my presentation. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Al, so very, very much. It's very informative. I feel a lot better. I know myself to relax a little bit more.
Keep doing it.
Keep moving. Does anyone have any questions for Al? We have a few minutes before our next speaker.
I don't have any questions coming in the chat, Kathleen, but lots of positive comments of how relaxing and informative Al's presentation was.
Fourth be with you too. Says thank you for an awesome presentation and great ideas. Great workout, the blood's moving. So I really appreciate that. Does Al have a YouTube video?
Not yet. No.
Something we could work on, right, Ethel?
Of course we could. We could definitely put it on our BCDA YouTube channel we're developing. I'm always into helping to share resources of BCDA with our conferences. How many of you knew that we have a TV show on Comcast Channel 25 where each week it airs about 11 times a week? You can tune in at random times. The times are posted on the website, as well as you can call our office at 410-887-2002 to learn more. But each show highlights different aging trends, programs, resources that are available to older adults, caregivers, and professionals in Baltimore County. In addition, the department also has a newspaper called The Time of Your Life that comes out every 6 weeks, and that also is a great place to learn about resources of the Department of Aging, other county agencies, and even some of our sponsors that run advertisements in there to learn about what's out there in the community. In the spirit of Older Americans Month this May, we are running an event on May the 26th called Changing the Rhythm of Aging, where we're going to have a drum circle where we learn how our drum adds into the group's rhythm and beat and how we play a part of the community. And then also the next part will be Tai Chi, where we'll learn a little bit of how to control our rhythm personally. And our two instructors are top notch. It's our second annual event of this. We will be holding it at Meadowood Regional Park, right off of Falls Road, so it's convenient through all parts of the county. It is completely free of charge. So if you and your care partner would like to come, bang on your drum and have a little Tai Chi fun, you'll go home with a nice lunch from our Eating Together program. And there again, you could go online to find that online registration or simply give our office a call at the 410-887-2002 number. Thank you, Al, for that reminder. Appreciate it. And then also our caregivers might want to learn about our Opal Center, which is our 21st senior center in Baltimore County, and all of the programs are virtual there. So if you are interested in doing an array of classes at home, from exercise to, I think they have a beginner Spanish class going, arts and crafts, all sorts of good things, you can email the Opal Center at baltimorecountymd.gov. And they also have a Get Set Up program that connects you with online programs of an array of things from technology to history, all sorts of good, I guess, informative and educational programming. And there again, the Opal Center can connect you with that resource. It's free of charge as well.
Hi, good morning to everybody. This has been wonderful, Al. I feel so much relaxed from what you shared today. I am a caregiver. My dad lives with me after suffering a accident himself, living abroad. So that brought me great relief and just something to do with him. But for those that are attending today, your loved one, you may be thinking about different stages and different things for them. I work with the Ombudsman's program, and that I know is a different word for many, many people. This is a program that provides advocacy for people who live in long-term care settings, which are nursing homes and assisted livings or retirement communities that do have those portions. The program tries to make sure that all residents, no matter what the age or issue or condition may be, have a voice in making sure that their needs are being provided for. So as we learn all these different techniques of how to be a caregiver and provide for our loved ones in the long-term care setting, the Ombudsman's program wants to make sure that some of those same things are going to be transpired. I did also hear Al share that his mom was in a long-term care setting and try to, I think, bring her joy and relief in a variety of ways. And I know the staff at times can say, hey, don't do something that we can't do, because it becomes hard for them to replicate some of those pieces. But that's exactly what our program does. We put the voice of the resident on the table to ensure that if they do want something different, like what Mr. Al was providing, that they have the opportunity to do that. If they should have questions about their medication, about how to interact with their physicians, how they would like things to be structured, even throughout the course of the day while they're in the long-term care setting, an ombudsman can help open those lines of communication. Our program is free and it is confidential, and we have the opportunity to visit these long-term care facilities at any time. We are a 24/7, 365 program with our advocacy, and we try to make sure that we are getting out there so everybody knows how to reach us. Even if you have just general questions, what is it like to be in a long-term care? What are benefits and services that might be available to you? We try to also make sure that that is something the residents and families know about. We also try to make sure there's an educational opportunity for family councils, resident councils, and maybe even for the staff on site of the facility. The best thing about our program is that it is free. It doesn't cost you one dime to interact or get connected to the Ombudsman's program. We have a little shy of 250 licensed facilities in Baltimore County catchment area, and we have 5 ombudsman's office, and we cover the entire county. So just wanted you all to know, if you needed a friendly face, you had a question, or you had a problem or a concern that you wanted to have addressed, the Ombudsman's program could help you out and assist with that, and even open the lines of communication with the staff. Our program is here in the Towson office as our main office, but we do have offices in the Catonsville Senior Center, Randallstown Senior Center, Addie Senior Center, and Towson as well. Our program number is 410-887-4200. If you should need us, please give us a call. And so glad to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Really appreciate that. Well, it looks like we have our next speaker here logged in. So fantastic. Welcome, welcome, Casey. It is my honor to introduce Casey Saylor. Casey is the Older Adult Project Manager at the Mental Health Association of Maryland, where she oversees the Vibrant Aging Peers program. In this role, she provides community education, manages volunteers in the Connections Project, and works to enhance Maryland's peer support model to better serve older adults with behavioral health needs. She is a University of Maryland School of Social Work graduate and a member of the Anti-Stigma Project. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you. Apologies for my tardiness. I got a little caught on the WebEx links, but I'm very excited to be here with you today. All right, so let me start sharing my screen. Please let me know if you can see my purple slide. So let's talk about coping skills. As Kathleen mentioned, I'm joining you from the Mental Health Association of Maryland today. And the Mental Health Association of Maryland is an education and advocacy organization. And so, as part of my role, I travel around and teach people about the brain and how it works. And it's a lot of good fun. Um, so, focusing on coping skills, we're going to learn a bit about what self care is and why it's important. And then we're going to discuss and actually have an opportunity to try some different coping strategies. So, first things first, what is self care and why is it necessary? And it is necessary because of something called stress and the amygdala hijack, which I'm very excited to teach you a bit about today. So, stress is directly tied to a hormone in our brains and in our bodies called cortisol. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone, and it is designed to let you know when you're in danger, right? I think our culture has a pretty um, uneasy relationship with stress. I don't know about you, but when stress shows up for me, my immediate reaction is, oof, make this go away. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like having it around, and I wish it would stop. And based on what I hear, that seems like a pretty common experience of stress. And realistically, when thinking back through the many, many years when we were humans walking through a jungle and a tiger shows up, that stress was designed to let us know when we're in danger. Cortisol would show up in that moment saying, all right, we are unsafe. Let's fight, flight, or freeze in order to get out of danger. Okay? So, in that context, cortisol is really helpful. It's really helpful. Um, and we aren't quite walking through jungles and encountering tigers anymore. That doesn't really happen in our daily lives. Um, and in that context with the tiger, when the tiger left, the cortisol level would go down and we would return to a state of safety. So we weren't in a situation then where the cortisol was constantly in our systems. Now, in our daily lives, stress can be defined as the brain's response to any demand. And lots of things can trigger this response, including change. So changes can be positive or negative, real or perceived, recurring, short term or long term. This could be things like your daily commute, traveling for a vacation, moving to a new home. All of these are stressful in their own ways. Now, these changes could be mild and relatively harmless, or they could be major changes like divorce, serious illness, car accidents. Um, I want to ask, what are some examples? You're invited to put them in the chat or unmute. Examples of changes that cause stress that you've experienced or seen.
Changing careers.
Hmm. Changing careers and retirement can cause stress as well. Lisa says financial. Yes, financial stresses, very, very real. Nancy says watching the news. Yes. So the 24-hour news cycle is, I'm laughing because it's really not good for our mental health. Um, I bet you remember when the news wasn't on 24 hours a day and you could just turn it on at any given time and see the update from 5 minutes ago on whatever story is unfolding. um, Watching the news in this 24-hour news cycle is very actively triggering our cortisol responses. And because it's so accessible, because it's always on, it's really up to us to monitor our consumption because we're consuming it just like we consume food. It's really up to us to monitor our consumption and those cortisol levels because they don't do it for us, right? They want us to watch it always. So watching the news is a great example. Kathy says having to move quickly from one state to another to become a full-time caregiver, giving up a job, selling a home and belongings, shipping items, etc. Yes, that'll do it, Kathy, says Cullen. Um, exactly. And all of those changes, Kathy, right? One of them would be cause of stress. When you start stacking them on top of each other, that's more and more and more cortisol flooding the system. And so you guys, it sounds like, have a very clear understanding of what cortisol is and how it shows up in your lives. And when cortisol shows up, we all react to stress a bit differently. Some of us may experience fatigue, some of us may be moody. Muscle tension, having pain in our bodies could be a sign of cortisol being at too high a level in our systems. We may have trouble sleeping or overeating. For me, I eat more when I'm stressed. For someone else, they may eat less. They may not be eating enough when they're feeling stressed. Being angry or irritable or feeling overwhelmed can both be signs. Using alcohol or drugs to just feel better, unwind at the end of a hard day is often the language we hear justifying why it's okay to drink when you're feeling stressed. And it can actually, as we'll learn later on, have some negative consequences to dealing with stress. Having an inability to relax and changes in relationships. Maybe, your relationship with the person you're caring for, or, someone else in your life is starting to get a little rocky. And, that's very unlike it. That's not typical. Those relationship changes could be because, or reaction to, some of these stress reactions that we're experiencing. And we may not see that we're being angry or irritable, but it may be impacting the relationship. And that may be the sign that we recognize. According to the American Psychological Association, nearly 70% of Americans are experiencing these physical and mental symptoms of stress at the time when they took the survey, but only 37% thought they were doing really well at managing that stress. And so for me, that survey really shows that we all have a good way to go in taking steps to actively and manage our stress in a healthy way. So traumatic stress is something I want to introduce everyone to as well. As I mentioned before, major changes such as divorce, serious illness, car accidents, exposure to violence, or poor living conditions, these can lead to traumatic stress reactions. Living through a pandemic can do that too. When our brains detect a threat, our bodies automatically begin a stress response that prepares us to that fight, flight, freeze. That cortisol shows up and prepares us for action. And these responses may be helpful in the moment, but they can be troublesome if they persist when the danger is no longer present. Post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, occurs when the physical sensations, thoughts, behaviors, and feelings that are related to trauma, when they become prolonged and interfere with our daily activities, relationships, or quality of life. Now, it's important to note that what may be traumatic for one person may not be traumatic for another. We could live through the same car accident or the same pandemic and both be impacted very differently. And that can be based on things like our biology, our life experiences up to this point, right? Our environments, lots of things can impact the way that we are impacted by a traumatic event. But what is traumatic for one person may not be traumatic for another. And it's natural to experience PTSD or traumatic symptoms for a few weeks after a dangerous event, right? Your body is recovering, and it's normal for those symptoms to be present. But when those symptoms last for more than a month or seriously impact your ability to function, they may be PTSD. And I want to share a couple symptoms of PTSD with you, just to put this on your radar. Maybe you look at this list and you're like, oh, dang, this is very familiar to me. Maybe you look at this list and say, nope, I'm not experiencing any of these. But I want to put it on everyone's radar because the COVID-19 pandemic is a traumatic event that has impacted everyone to some degree. And as I mentioned, what's traumatic for one person may not be for another. And some folks who are experiencing PTSD don't show symptoms for years after a traumatic event. So if you identify with these symptoms now or in the future, I really encourage you to reach out for help. So these symptoms include things like flashbacks, bad dreams, scary thoughts, avoiding places, events, objects of traumatic event. Masks could be included in that. Maybe your mask is in a drawer, you don't, want to pull it out. That is a reminder of a not good time, right? It could be something as simple as that. Being easily startled, feeling tense or on edge, having difficulty sleeping. You're seeing a theme here, right? Avoiding thoughts or feelings related to the traumatic event. Angry outbursts, having negative thoughts about yourself or the world, or just distorted feelings like guilt or blame. That's, maybe that's not something that you connected with an experience before, and suddenly you're having these feelings. And also having a loss of interest in things that you previously enjoyed doing. So I also want to name, just keep these symptoms in, like I said, your back pocket. Should you notice yourself or someone you know starting to experience these, please reach out for help. And it's worth noting that PTSD can be accompanied by depression, substance use, including alcohol, or an anxiety disorder. Okay? They can go hand in hand. So we talked about some pretty serious stress just now. And there's also something called the amygdala hijack that is really grounded in our in the moment stress response. Now, when I learned about the amygdala hijack during my master's program, this changed my life to know that this is what my brain was doing and I can do something about it. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So our brains are processing stimuli all the time. And the stimuli are processed through the amygdala and the hippocampus. These are two areas in our brain. You can see the little chart there if you're interested. But the primary functions of these areas, the hippocampus stores memories and is responsible for our automatic implicit reactions. These are positive things and negative things. The amygdala, which we're going to zoom in on, is responsible for regulating our emotions and our behavioral response and is connected to that fight or flight response. Now, the amygdala is involved in things like detecting threats, looking for that tiger. It's engaged in triggering a body response, right? When you touch something hot and you pull away automatically, that's the amygdala at work. It's also engaged in fear conditioning. If I am driving a car and I get in an accident, and the next time I start to get in the car, like my body's like, no, that's the amygdala trying to protect you, right? And conditioning like, okay, this is not a safe thing. Let's not do this. The amygdala is also involved in processing positive emotions and encoding emotional memories. So when you smell a candle that reminds you of your grandmother's house, or you hear a song that makes you feel a certain emotion, that's the amygdala at work. Now, the term amygdala hijack was coined by a psychologist named Daniel Goldman in 1995, and it refers to an intense emotional reaction that is out of proportion to the circumstance. Essentially, the rational brain in the moment is bypassed, and signals are sent straight to the emotional brain. And later, the thinking part of the brain shows up, processes the information, and says, wow, that was a little over the top. And cortisol, there's that stress hormone again, shows up too. And it's even further dulls the communication between the thinking part of our brain and our actions. Okay. Now, alcohol also dulls that communication. So the elements of an amygdala hijack include intense emotional and physical reactions and it being out of proportion to the circumstance. So I'll share a couple common examples with you and then I'll invite you to share some of your own. But road rage is often a symptom of amygdala hijack. I don't typically go shouting at cars that drive past me, but that one, that one triggered my amygdala hijack. Saying something you don't mean in the heat of an argument, and then you look back and think, oh, why in the world did I say that? Amygdala hijack. If you win the lottery and your excitement makes you scream and cause a scene, right? Amygdala hijacks can happen for good reasons too. Um, or if you lose a tennis match and in your anger, you throw the racket across the court. I know for myself as a little girl, my hair used to be down to my waist. It was very long. And I have a very clear memory of brushing my hair one day and my hairbrush got caught. And it felt like I was trying to get it out for 30 minutes. And eventually I just got so frustrated, amygdala hijack. I ripped the hairbrush out of my hair with a good chunk of hair in it and threw it across the room, dented the wall, snapped the hairbrush in half, ripped my hair out. That is not something, had my rational brain been driving in that moment, I would have chosen to do. Very much an amygdala hijack moment. And it can be even simpler, right? Maybe you're trying to open a can, you can't get it, you slam it on the countertop. Amygdala hijack. Does anyone have any other examples, maybe that you've experienced or seen um, to help us understand what an amygdala hijack is, or maybe how it shows up in your caregiving? Any thoughts? Feel free to put them in the chat or unmute. Or if you're not following what an amygdala hijack is, let me know, and I'm happy to answer questions. Sabra says, not thinking before you speak. Yes. Yes, particularly if there's something going on that's kind of sweeps you away and it's a very emotional thing that comes out of your mouth. Um, the toddler screaming, "I hate you," is a great a great example of that. Any other examples that anyone would like to share? And amygdala hijacks are typically not our proudest moments, right? So I completely understand if you don't want to share a personal example, but the power comes in being able to identify when this is happening for yourself. Everyone with brains experiences this. This is a very common reaction for us as humans. Okay. Colin says losing patience as a caregiver when a loved one keeps forgetting their new limitations. Yeah, that can be a great example. That can be a great example, especially if maybe something comes out of your mouth in that moment, or you know have a you know just a very like what are they doing? Strong reaction, out of proportion to the circumstance. The amygdala hijack at work. Ah, Kathy says when the person you're irritated with that's talking to you and you get instantly angry at the sound of their voice. Yes. Yes, amygdala hijack. Perfect example. Perfect example. So physically, in these moments, there's some things that are happening in our bodies. And it can range from shaking to an increase in blood pressure Our heart might be racing, our breathing may speed up, there might be tension in our muscles, or we may feel nauseous. And, these physical symptoms may vary based on the experience or the person, but our bodies are reacting in these moments too, not just our brains. And research from 2016 suggests that when the amygdala is activated, the prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain that's responsible for our reasonable thinking, that part of the brain actually turns the volume down. It is less activated. And that's the part that's responsible for impulse control and rational thought. The volume on that part is literally turned down. And if there's cortisol in our systems, the volume's even quieter. And if we're drinking alcohol at that moment, the volume goes down even more. Um, and this process might be helpful, right? In an actual life or death situation where that tiger's present, or maybe you've read in the news about there was someone in my hometown a couple years ago who, witnessed an accident and had uh, he went and lifted the car up off of someone, right? If my rational brain was working in that moment, I would look at that and say, I can't pick that up. But they were able to do it. And it's helpful in an actual life or death situation. And the amygdala hijack occurs at not helpful situation and moments as well, as you all named. And so the good news is now that we have this language, we can recognize when an amygdala hijack is happening for us. And we can actually calm down the amygdala. We can calm down our amygdala, which will control the amount of cortisol, stress hormone in our systems, and keep us thinking clearly. We can do this for ourselves if we are able to recognize what's going on. And so coping strategies is a fantastic tool for this. And I'll share a couple specific ones with you that I found to be effective and that research suggests are effective as well. So the first one, this one is my favorite, grounding through the senses. And I want to invite you to do this with me briefly. And so just for a moment, notice your breath. Feel yourself breathing just for a second here. And I want to invite you, look around you right now and acknowledge 5 things you can see. And don't just look around and go, okay, that, and that. Actually take the time to name them for yourself. Pencil mark on the wall, right? Texture of the lampshade. Actually name those things, 5 of them that you can see around you, please. Next, I want to invite you to acknowledge 4 things that you can touch around you. It could be your hair, the ground under your feet, the feeling of, whatever you're wearing against your skin. But in the same way, really name 4 different touch sensations in your experience right now. And now I want to invite you to listen and acknowledge 3 things that you can hear. Maybe it's your belly rumbling. Maybe there's some air moving in your environment or a car driving by. Silence is also something to name. And then acknowledge 2 things that you can smell right now. And maybe you struggle to name 2, that's fine. Just name one if that's all you have in this moment. And then one thing you can taste. What does the inside of your mouth taste like right now? For better or for worse, just name that for yourself. So for those of you who followed along with this exercise, what was this like for you? How do you feel now that we're at the other side of it? Focused in the present. Yes. So this is a grounding exercise. Um, it took a while to do. Yes. Yes, you can feel wonderful, wonderful. Do this again to calm down. It really brings you into the environment that you are in right now and your relationship with it. And this exercise can be extremely helpful during periods of anxiety or panic or anger, or any of those amygdala hijack moments we talked about, to ground you in the present when your mind is bouncing around various thoughts. Maybe you feel swept up in something. You can always turn to this exercise. And we know what our senses are, right? Just walk yourself through it. Yes, yes, Lisa. I've not personally guided someone with autism through this exercise, but I would recommend it. That might be something that's very helpful for them. Um, so you can also do this exercise with aids if needed. Like, for just looking around my desk here, I know that I have a glitter bottle. And so if I'm having trouble focusing on something I can see, I can turn the glitter bottle and make that my focus in the moment. Um, I also keep an eyeglass wipe in my pocket. And so if I'm doing the four things I can touch and I'm struggling to find a fourth, I just go in my pocket and pull out my eyeglass wipe, right? So if you are guiding someone else through this, or for yourself, you can include those kind of ongoing uh, exercise aids with you in order to make the exercise successful. That being said, you don't need to hit 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make it fit however it fits best for you. If you can only touch two things right now, that's fine. Or maybe you feel more comfortable hearing four things and touching three. Shift it around, however best suits you. If you have any impairments in any of the areas, maybe hearing, smell, taste, acknowledging that and altering the exercise or incorporating it into the exercise. Well, I can't taste anything. For me, I live with tinnitus. So my ears ring pretty constantly. And this exercise made me realize that I don't hear them ringing when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm swept up in my thoughts. And so this exercise actually makes me pause and hear the ringing and be like, oh, wow, I was so disconnected from my body, I didn't even hear my ears ringing. And that's become part of my grounding practice. So why does this work? This grounding exercise works because it stimulates our parasympathetic response system, which works to calm the body. And it restores the nervous system to a more relaxed, neutral, and efficient state of being. And it, with practice, can become the dominant state for us. We can learn to help stimulate this parasympathetic response system through this exercise and others like it in order to calm the amygdala, keep ourselves thinking clearly, and the more we practice it, the easier it will become. Grounding reinforces the sense of safety, which is directly tied to that parasympathetic response system. When that cortisol shows up, it is our nervous system saying, you're not safe. And through these exercises, we're able to reassure our nervous system. That's literally what we're doing. Yes, I am. And in turn, we feel better. And it reduces our feelings of distress and anxiety. So, um, looking at the time here, I have a couple more coping strategies that I would like to share with you briefly. And one of them is journal writing. Um, Regular journal writing research shows it acts as a stress management tool, helping to control that cortisol in our systems. And it actually can help to strengthen our immune systems because that cortisol goes down. And the longer the cortisol is in our system, chronic stress, it actually lowers our immune system. It can make us sick or sicker. And so journaling can help to balance that out. And research shows that 47% of patients with chronic health condition actually experienced improvements in their physical and emotional well-being after writing honestly about what was impacting their lives. A tool that might be useful in journaling is something called an emotion wheel. And emotion wheels are a great opportunity to find the words to explain our experience in this moment. And so this is a sample one. You are welcome to download more from humansystems.co. A colleague of mine designs these emotion wheels and hands them out for free on her website. And the way it works is you start in the middle and you identify if you're feeling uncomfortable or comfortable. And then you take a step out to the next layer. Okay, well, I'm feeling comfortable in this moment. Am I feeling accepted, confident, interested, excited, loving? What kind of bucket is my experience in this moment? So you identify the bucket and then you can step out to the next level and, perhaps choose another word that more specifically helps to describe your experience. Well, I'm feeling confident and you know what? I'm feeling really positive that I'm here with you today. Obviously, this is not all encompassing of all words associated with each bucket. However, if you are in a place where you're at a loss of words for what you're experiencing right now, um, this can be a very helpful tool. Journaling can also include things, that are unstructured, stream of consciousness, whatever's in your head in this moment, including I don't know what to write, get it out on the page. Um, Gratitude lists, art, doodling, all of these can have the same therapeutic benefits as journal writing. I want to invite you to do another grounding exercise with me now. This is called a body scan. And wherever you are, whether you're sitting or lying down, standing, I want to invite you to pause. And the goal of this is to note any physical sensations without judging or reacting to them. So I'm going to flip this. We're going to start at the top of our heads. And so I want to invite you just notice the top of your head right now. How often do you do that? I know I don't do it very often. Just notice the top of your head and how it feels. And once you bring that into your awareness, we're going to move down to the tips of the ears and just feel them in this moment. We'll move to the face, the forehead, and the temples. Are they tight? Are they relaxed in this moment? Just noticing. Down the face to the jaw. And we'll continue moving down the neck to the shoulders. Again, are they loose? Are they tense? Just noticing. If you want to do a little stretch, that's fine. And then we'll continue moving down the body. We'll go down the back. Follow your spine down to your hips, going slowly at your own pace. The trick is to follow it all the way down. Then we'll move to the front. Notice the belly. Is your belly tight or soft in this moment? I want to invite you to feel your hips and your weight, perhaps in the chair. And we'll move down to the thighs. the knees, the calves, down to the soles of your feet. And then offer your attention to each toe. Just notice them. So this is something called a body scan. And this is, as I shared earlier, a wonderful opportunity to return to your body. Often when our thoughts are buzzing around, it can feel like we're floating up here above our bodies. And this is a great way to bring ourselves back into our physical experience. Um, this can also be a helpful exercise if you're having trouble sleeping. I know I worked with a gentleman, he could not sleep at night. He could not quiet his thoughts enough to sleep. He would just lay and worry. And the body scan ended up being a very useful tool for him. And he would go slowly, right? We did it pretty quickly because, we have a time limit with us today. But you are welcome to start at the top of your head and go as slowly as you would like and get as specific as you would like. I kept it pretty broad, but maybe you want to, throw in your eyebrows and your cheekbones and your top lip, right? You can get as specific as you would like with this. Take as long as you would like or as long as you need. You could start at the top of the head and go to the floor, or you could start at the floor and go up. It's definitely room for personalization. Yes, Albert.
The alternate title for that is progressive muscle relaxation.
Ah,
And I
yes.
recommend it to a lot of people to help them go to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that while you lie there, it'll only take you a few minutes, but it helps you to go to sleep because you're relaxing one piece at a time.
Certainly. And that's a element that I find naturally happens, right? In our body scan, I invited you just to notice if things were tight or loose. You could also, as Albert said, try to consciously relax each of the parts that you notice that are tight through that progressive muscle relaxation. Um,
Or do a self massage, which I just taught before you came on.
yes, I know. Yeah, there's definitely room to integrate these together. So certainly take whatever speaks to you. Maybe you did this and you're like, not for me. Leave it. Try something else. Albert.
One more thing on when you talk about journaling, one idea that I've tried is if I say have something upsets me, and I'll write it down just to get that emotion expressed on something that's a surface, like a piece of paper, and then I light it and
Mm-hmm.
burn it and watch it go up in smoke.
Yes.
That's a ritual almost. Now, I don't do it a lot, but that's one way to have it disappear.
Yep. I also know folks who may bury it in the garden.
By the way, you
So
might
it
say
can,
that there's one person that I've helped get rid of her past. That's 12 months of really bad situations for her. And we got together and she wrote all that down. We did what I just said. We took the ashes and we went to a local park and we buried it. In other words, for it to be completely done away with in her past.
mm-hmm,
She seems to say that it works.
mm-hmm.
By the way, I want to make one more comment before you end, and that is the business of the senses. I practice mindfulness as a habit. In other words, when you do the dishes, do the dishes.
Yes, I have a slide on mindful movement, but I didn't
Oh,
include it
I'm
today.
sorry. Okay.
But that is a great example, Albert. I'm glad you brought that up. When you're doing the dishes, do the dishes. Mindful movements fits into whatever we're doing in the moment. Just really noticing your body move, whether you're doing the dishes, feel the water and the soap and the movement of your hands, the weight of the dish in your hands. My best friend, dishes is her favorite time of day for that exact reason, believe it or not. And it also aligns with walking, or just moving from one space to the next. You can turn it into a mindful moment to actually just feel your body going through the movement. Um,
I once heard a comment about walking. Just imagine your feet are kissing the earth.
Mhm.
Think of that beautiful moment when you are grounded to this planet that you're living on.
Mhm. Yes, that's a beautiful way to think about it. I'll just leave you with two more thoughts, folks, because I know we're coming up to the end of our time. One is your breath is always with you, and that is an opportunity for mindfulness as well. Just feeling it come in and out, as I invited you to do at the beginning of our grounding exercise. And eating is something that we do every day as well. And it is an excellent opportunity for mindfulness too. We can turn our mealtime or our drinks into a coping skill by really being present with the experience of holding the thing, right? My warm coffee cup, feeling the heat and the texture, smelling it, tasting it, and actually noticing the sensation of chewing and swallowing. And then do it again for the next bite. These things that we do every day can actually help to be healthy coping habits for us to return us to our bodies and stop those, amygdala hijacks or just calm down the cortisol in our systems, which will help us to think more clearly and show up better for ourselves and the people we're caring for. So with that, I will end and invite any questions or conversation.
The eating process should be a ritual. In other words, rather than scarf at Chinese food out of a plastic box, have a place setting, right? Make that pretty.
That's
Mhm.
actually coming up next.
All right, sorry. In other words, I'm sorry, don't want to steal any thunder.
Yeah.
So, and in other words, you should be sitting down and you should make that an event for yourself, not just scarf it down. Sorry, stealing somebody's thunder. Thank you very much, Casey. That was very informative.
Yeah, thank you, Casey, so very much for being here and sharing all the wonderful information about where stress comes from, how that's correlated in the body, variety of techniques to use to be mindful and to cope with our stress in daily lives. Next, we're going to be going on a break. But before we go, I want to turn this conference over to Lynn McCabe, who's going to be spinning the wheel of names to see who wins our first prize.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now that I'm off mute, I will bring up our wheel. Give me 1 second so we can get our lovely prizes out. Coming up now. Can everybody see the screen okay? Everybody's name is added in, and we're going to see who our first winner is. Mary Jones. She's our first winner. You will be receiving a prize. You will get our movie basket, compliments of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Upsilon Epsilon Omega Baltimore County Chapter. So enjoy the movie pass and the packet when it comes.
Congratulations, Mary. Thank you, Lynn. We're going to now take a 10-minute break. So if you all could come back in 10 minutes, that's at 11:40. And at that time, we will conclude with our presentation on nutritional strategies for caregivers with Melanie Burdick. We'll see you in 10 minutes. All right, everyone. I hope everyone's back from break. Next, am excited to introduce Melanie Burdick. Melanie is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, certified diabetes care and education specialist, certified specialist in obesity and weight management, and a certified personal trainer. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics from Eastern Michigan University and a Master's of Science in Applied Nutrition from the University of New England. She believes in practical steps to improving health and wellness where no foods are off limits. Welcome, Melanie.
Awesome, Kathleen. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Melanie Burdick. I am one of the registered dietitians at Giant Food. I'm a member of the Healthy Living team, and I'm your Baltimore-based dietitian. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the services that we provide at the end of today. But I do have to say it's been quite inspiring listening to everyone and seeing the commentary in the chat. I do have to say that maybe I'll think a little bit differently about washing the dishes. But I also liked, I believe was it Albert talking about your feet walking, kissing the earth. So I think that's really just wonderful little things just to kind of take home with you today. So I'm really happy to talk about different foods and activities that can take some little steps to be really giant rewards when it comes to self-care. And I have to say, just on a personal note, myself, this year alone, I have been a caregiver to both of my parents during 2 long hospitalizations. So I definitely understand, not only from a professional, but from a personal standpoint, the amount of time, energy, and how selfless we all are when it comes to taking care of loved ones, friends, or other people in our lifestyle. And so it can be really tough. And I'm speaking from experience. So today we'll highlight some ways that we can really take care of our mind and body and really just take some time for ourselves. So what we'll talk about today, really, what is self-care? And tips that we can do in our lifestyle and things that we can put into our shopping cart to really take care of ourselves. Perfect. So one of the things, let's see here. All right. There we get all the clicking out of the way. So I just want everyone to just take a moment and just take some time to breathe in and breathe out. Just take a moment to just relax. And I apologize, my animations aren't going. Oh boy, we're having a hard time here today. But just take a moment, close your eyes, sit back and relax. Just take a few deep breaths in, and then take a few deep breaths out. And it can feel really, really good in almost any situation. So just taking that moment just to breathe in and out can really make a difference for yourself. And that's just a practice of self-care. Okay. So what is self-care? So really when we think about self-care, it's taking time to really focus on ourselves. And often it can feel like, hey, we're being selfish. Not being selfish, so to speak, but the more that we focus on ourselves, take time for just a few moments, we can actually give back and be a much better individual for the individuals that we're caring for and ourselves too. And it can be a variety of different things. It's not one size fits all. From what I've been hearing today, everyone is a little bit different. What works for one individual may not work for someone else, and that's okay. So when we think about self-care, it's just taking that pause, reading a book, getting some fresh air. Maybe it's saying hello to your pet or just taking a few minutes to read the newspaper. All of those are different ways where we can have that outlet and just have a moment to meet our needs. Okay, so let me know in the chat here, and I'm going to fix my view here so I can see the chat. But what does self-care look like for everyone here? What are some things that you love to do at home for yourself? Let me know. I'm going to make sure that I have my view. Let's see here. Listen to music. There's my chat. Perfect. There's my chat view. All right, listen to music. What are some other things that you do for self-care? Hot baths, teas, candles. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Could be big or small. Anything else that you do right now for self-care? Binge watch a couple of TV shows. I love that answer. Absolutely. Meditation. Perfect. Now, what might be some of the things that are hindering you from meeting some of your health or your self-care goals? Let's see, gardening. Okay, Linda, absolutely. Gardening, I love planting. There's just something so peaceful about that and rewarding. Anything else? Finding time is your major hindrance. Absolutely. Finding time. Anything else? Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss anyone in the chat. Finding time. Left alone enough. Absolutely. Finding a quiet place. Absolutely. Yes, wasting time. I think, yeah, so all of us can utilize our time in different ways. Dancing, okay, so perfect. So Linda, it sounds like she dances to music as well. Yeah, so I think one, it's always helpful to acknowledge, what's limiting us. We just need to be aware of some of the things that might throw us off course, but just thinking about, hey, how can I take just a few minutes for myself? How can I find a peaceful moment? Maybe it's something such as, maybe just going and sitting in your car to have that peaceful moment. It can be anything that works for you. Perfect. Well, I appreciate everyone sharing. Wonderful. Okay. There we go. Well, there we go. All right. We're having a moment here to get the slides advanced. So how is healthy eating, related to self-care? I know for a lot of us, eating is a part of everyday life. We have to eat when we're hungry, and it's an essential part for keeping our bodies functioning. And it's also important for self-care. When we have regular meals, we would have more stable blood sugar control, we'll have more energy, and that can prevent us from maybe feeling a little hangry. We've all experienced that as well. When we're a little hungry, we're a little tired, maybe we get a little bit grumpy. But we also know that having regular meals, that can help with our mental focus, and that really can help us keep going throughout the day. And also, many people find that preparing meals, as I mentioned earlier, doing the dishes or organizing things in the kitchen can also be relaxing and meditative for individuals as well too. But one of the things that we want to think about is thinking about your body as a sports car. We want to fuel it with items that are nutritionally dense. Just so if if you purchase a very expensive sports car, you're probably not going to put unleaded fuel into that item. You're probably going to go for the premium for that ultimate performance. So when we're thinking about the foods that we're choosing, we want to make sure that we're finding things that are nutritionally dense. Now, I know how it can be if we're tired, we're running around trying to get to appointments, driving to the hospital, taking care of individuals. It can be a lot, and often that candy or that chocolate might look really enticing. But if we can take time to focus on our meals, and including things like whole grains, that could be crackers, that could be bread or cereal, that give us that fiber and protein, that's going to help us stay satisfied in between meals. That can also help with our blood sugar and also our heart health as well. And then also focusing on proteins. There's a lot of different options available. Having proteins in our day is also going to help you stay satisfied, but it's also going to give back to your body. We need protein. Every cell in our body needs it to function accordingly. So making sure that we have some type of lean protein, and we'll talk more about those in the next couple of slides. As well as having a variety of fruits and vegetables. We'll talk about some of the antioxidant benefits in a couple of slides. And then also too, just thinking about something as simple as staying hydrated, our water intake. When we're thinking about the needs of other individuals, we may kind of pass on or we pass by some of the things that we need. But something as simple as refilling a water bottle when you start the day, or having a glass of water with each meal, that's really going to make a difference on how you feel and really help you with that energy as well. So really just thinking about, and when we're taking care of ourselves, self-care, one, is what we put on our plate. So think about how your meals balance out, and if there's anything different that you could do in your daily routine to really improve that fuel that we're putting into our body. All right. And so there's some wonderful items that we can put on our plate that really can give our body a boost. And one of the great things is that we're probably eating a variety of these different items already. But knowing that many of our favorite foods can make a difference in our minds and our brain health and also boost our mood. What a great combination, right? It's a win-win. So some of the things we might be familiar with, of course, omega formation, which are actually plaque formations that are connected with Alzheimer's disease. So just by the different types of foods that we put on our plate, that can help with our brain. And one of the things to always think about when it comes to our brain, what we do for the heart, we can do for our brain. So some of the things that we're very familiar with heart health, heart healthy fats, low sodium, more fiber, those are all beneficial for our brain as well. Now, other things that are very, very important, of course, are wonderful antioxidants, our fruits and vegetables, and our plant-based foods. So antioxidants, we've been hearing a lot about these in the last couple of years, thinking about things that we can put into our body that can help minimize oxidative stress and really help fight those bad guys, so to speak, those free radicals. And this is going to help keep our body running efficiently. And so we know that the more fruits and vegetables that we put on our plate, that can lower our risk of developing a variety of different disease states, diabetes, heart disease, and even some forms of cancer. So it's really important that we think about how can we fill up our plate with produce at our meals. So we also want to think about other items that we can add to our plate. So if anyone has any, favorite produce items, let me know in the chat. I want to know what you're enjoying at home. But one little method that you can remember is to eat the rainbow when it comes to produce. All those different colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. These are all going to provide you with different types of antioxidants that are going to work in many different beneficial ways for the body and help prevent that disease or lower your disease risk as well too. Now, one of the things that's also important too is to make sure that we are getting plenty of choline in our diet as well. And you might be saying, what in the world is that? So choline may actually help fight off cognitive decline. And so it also helps with our brain health as well. And also, when we think about items that we might have on our plate, we're probably already eating a variety of these items. So, lean protein, fish, and dairy products, and eggs too. So, one of the great things is that our diet right now is generally filled with a variety of these lean proteins, and this can help with our brain tissue, keeping it healthy, but also be wonderful sources of protein as well. Now, going back to our produce items, we can find choline in a lot of our vegetables too. So again, that lean protein in those vegetables are going to pay off when it comes to our brain. So cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, these are wonderful sources of choline. Now, one thing we always say is fresh, frozen, or canned when it comes to our produce items. We know that life is busy. Not all of us can prep and slice and dice. So if you need a shortcut, absolutely you can use frozen. You can use canned. If you're worried about the sodium, you can rinse off that juice in the can and that'll lower that sodium content. Now, other things that we know, I mentioned whole grains earlier. Whole grains, we know with a diet that is filled with whole grains, that can actually lower our stress hormones or a marker called our C-reactive protein, which looks at stress in the body. So also too, our whole grains give us a boost of those feel-good hormone serotonin. So if we have whole wheat bread, toast, or cereal, this is also a great way to give a boost of that feel good feeling and help promote your sleep as well. So a triple whammy. And then other things that we can do in our diet. Now, if we have any dark chocolate fans, sure there might be a few here today. We also know that dark chocolate may also help relieve stress and inflammation and help with cognitive function and your memory. And there's some research about immunity as well too. So really helping with your immune health. All right, so Kathy, all right, she's all for it. Excellent. So this can also help. Having about a square of dark chocolate a day, just a small serving within portion control, can actually help individuals who suffer from anxiety as well. So a little bit of chocolate can do a body good. Now we know that there are going to be more nutritional benefits the darker the chocolate. So 70% cacao or higher too. So definitely a little piece of chocolate can do a body good and help with your mind too. Okay. Now we mentioned earlier about being more mindful. And so this is something that's really important. Now, often when we're running around, taking care of individuals, I know for me, the last couple of weeks, I wasn't always so mindful. I'm going to be honest. So often we might be running around, we might be picking up prescriptions or doing other things and just trying to do multiple things at once. So another area that we can focus on is being mindful. Now, there are lots of different methods to being mindful within our lifestyle. But we're going to talk specifically about our eating habits. So when we're stressed or we have emotions, a lot of times we eat as a way to self-soothe. We eat because we're happy, we're tired, we're angry, or we're bored. And often we can eat for lots of different reasons outside of hunger. So one of the most important things when it comes to being mindful in relation to your eating is to really take a moment and think, am I hungry? Am I physically hungry, or am I mentally hungry? Is my stomach growling? Has it been a few hours since I've eaten? Or am I thinking about eating because I'm a little stressed, I'm emotional, I'm overwhelmed? Is it head hunger, or is it that stomach growling? And then you can take a moment and think about the hunger scale on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 being really stuffed and a 1 being really hungry. We want to avoid those extremes. So a 5 is content. So as you're going through the day, when you're thinking about your needs and your self-care, take a moment and think about that hunger scale. Where are you on that list or on that scale? Are you at 6? Are you 4? Are you a 2? Are you really hungry? Did you realize that you forgot to eat today? So those are some things to think about. And I'm just going to pause here. I saw a couple things pop up into the chat. Awesome. I'm loving the commentary. So a few things that we can do in order to be more mindful. Limit your distractions. Take a step away from whatever you're doing. So sit down at a table, take a moment, turn off all your distractions, television, computer, a cell phone, tablet, and just focus on you and that eating experience. Focus on the flavor and the smells, really keying into all of our senses and slowing down. When I was running around a few weeks ago, I wasn't always being mindful about my pace. So just taking at least 20 minutes to enjoy a meal. And it's a great way to get re-energized and just have that moment. Taking that moment for yourself, you're going to be re-energized and you're going to be better prepared to take care of your loved one. And so we know with mindfulness, just slowing down and being more present in that eating practice, we're going to better enjoy our meals. We're going to be more satisfied and we're more likely going to eat less. We're also going to become more in tune with some of the reasons why we eat. A lot of us, we eat for many, many reasons, but sometimes we're not always aware that maybe emotions are driving us. So really, really helpful. And then also too, if you have any digestive discomfort, sometimes if we eat really fast, we can feel a little sluggish. So slowing down really can make a world of difference for your body. So being mindful as much as possible. Okay. So one of the things that we always like to say as the Healthy Living team at Giant is that there are no foods that are off limits. There are many foods that are comforting to us, and whether it's chocolate, whether it's ice cream, whether it's any of your favorite treats, don't deprive yourself. Allow yourself to have your favorite foods. But we want to think about how often we have it, and really that portion size as well. And don't worry, there's no food police, but when we really start to slow down and enjoy that particular food item, it can be a lot more satisfying, and then we'll be less likely to binge or overeat that particular item when we say, hey, no food is off limits. So definitely we can work it into a healthy eating pattern. Oh, and Albert, that's a really great comment. And be grateful for what we're eating and where it came from. Absolutely. The more I've learned about the food supply and all of the people involved, from the farmers to the individuals that pick the crops, the people that prep them and put them into the packages and ship them. There's a lot of work that goes into our foods. I think that's a really good thought process to just think about all of the work that it took to get that food from the farm to the table. So absolutely. Okay. So some other things that we want to think about. We really do want to take time for ourselves. We want to make sure that we are being physically active, and it can be different for everyone. But often, if you've ever been sitting, if you've ever been sedentary, you're just tired. You feel stuck, and it can be draining. So we want to think about being active as much as we can be. 30 minutes a day is the recommended amount. So it's 150 minutes or more of moderate physical activity a week. So whether it's taking the stairs or parking the car farther away or getting a breath of fresh air or gardening, all of those activities can help us have a wonderful escape, but also help take care of our bodies and help us maintain our cardiovascular health, our lung function, and just our overall fitness. So really, really important that we get in that activity any way that we enjoy. Now, also too, sleep, one of my favorite topics. I personally love sleep, and I know as a caregiver, my sleep wasn't the greatest, and so I was pretty darn tired. Ideally want to aim for about 7 to 9 hours a night. Now, what we know is that with regular sleep, this actually can help with our appetite hormones. So if you've ever been up or had a varied sleep schedule, you might have noticed that you felt a little hungry. Maybe you felt like you had the munchies and really couldn't get satisfied. That's because when we sleep, our appetite hormones have a chance to regulate. With that sleep deprivation, we might be more inclined to having things that are sweet or yummy. Maybe it's donuts or cookies or those favorite foods. So really getting enough sleep can help us feel more satisfied and help minimize any of those extraneous food choices throughout the day. And then also, we want to make sure that we are taking time to manage ourselves and our health. I know for me, my mother was hospitalized 2 days after my dad was discharged from the hospital. And one of the things that she said is that she skipped and canceled some of her appointments because she was so focused on taking care of my dad and his well being. So we just want to make sure that we take that time, that 30 minutes, whether it's a telehealth visit or an in person visit. Make sure that we stay on top of our needs, and if we're having any health concerns, that we address them as well too. And then also making sure that we follow any of those prescriptions or any of the recommendations from our physician to a T, to make sure that we get the utmost benefit as well. And I do see that we have a question in the chat. This is a great question. Do we necessarily have to eat 3 meals a day? Well, we don't have to eat perhaps 3 square meals. One of the biggest things is we want to eat within a regular time frame. So no more than about 4 to 5 hour segments. When we skip meals, we can tend to eat more later in the day. And then that can bring about maybe digestive discomfort. We can eat more with a larger meal later in the day. So whether it's regular meals that are spaced out or snacks or smaller meals, just want to think about refueling. That way we have consistent energy and that we don't overeat later in the day. That's a great question. Okay. So there are lots of things that we can do when we think about our health that really can help us if we find that maybe we often turn to food to deal with different emotions, and this is natural for a lot of us. So there are a lot of things that we can do in our lifestyle that can really make a difference for how we are feeling. So whether it's building or solving puzzles, I know for me, one of the things that I love to do, and it sounds silly, but I love to do the crossword puzzle and the People magazine. So when both of my parents were in the hospital, we'd always buy them the magazine, and then I just loved having about 30 minutes to do that activity. I found it to be a great escape, and I was pretty proud of myself for getting all of the answers. So it can be anything that can really help us have an escape. Also, coloring. Adult coloring books are very, very popular, or borrow one for maybe a sibling or a grandchild or a niece or nephew. These are really fun. And then also too, having that gratitude and those affirmations. So like Albert said earlier, really thinking about where your food came from, thinking about all the really positive things that are happening. Or trying something new. Maybe it's trying a new language. What is it? Babbel. You can learn a different language. You could practice Italian or Spanish, and it's a great way just to use that other side of your brain. Or listening to music or podcasts, you can really escape for a little bit. So I'm sure there's a podcast for everyone out there. And I'll tell you a little more at the end. Also, our Healthy Living team has a podcast. Now, I saw earlier that someone mentioned meditation, hypnosis, yoga. These are all great things that you can do. Actually, one of the things that we did while my mom was in the hospital, we actually did yoga for hospital patients, and it was really fascinating. So, things that people could do just while they were sitting in their hospital bed to help lower that anxiety for both the patient and for the family, too. Cooking, as I mentioned earlier, some people are at their best when they're cooking or doing dishes. But then also knowing any of those spiritual practices, anything that helps you connect with something that's important to you. And someone also mentioned gardening, one of my favorite outlets as well. I just love seeing those wonderful, beautiful colors that emerge. Now, other things that we can do, really, these are great because they can get us moving as well, which is great for our body. So things that can really just really heal the soul or just help you feel be so appreciative about being on the earth, walking in nature, getting some sunshine, just some fresh air and the sun just really warms you up. Or love your pets, take them for a walk. Just spending a few minutes petting a dog, whether it's a therapy dog that comes by in the hospital or a neighbor's pet, just having a few minutes with a furry animal can make you feel so good. Meditation that I mentioned earlier, or laughter. One of the things that we did, we were reading a joke book. So really corny jokes that my nephew had, and it was such a good way to pass the time. And some of them were pretty funny too. And then also using things like aromatherapy or really fueling your passion. So if you are thinking about pursuing something, whether it's a certification or maybe you want to take up some type of class, doing some sort of art class or anything that can help you escape is a great way to take a moment for yourself, but then also pursue some of those things that have been on your to-do list. Journaling, it's great to write down our emotions, how we're feeling. Some people will write down everything they're feeling and then crumple it up and sort of toss those feelings aside. It can really be a load lifted. And then also too, watching out for screen time. Maybe there are certain shows or the news that really can make us feel a little more anxious. And so really reducing our screen time can make a world of difference for our mental health. A vision board. These are so much fun. So you can make one from magazine clippings or do a virtual one online, such as using PowerPoint. Create a vision board. What do you hope to achieve in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? This can be really motivating and help you feel so empowered and appreciate the things in your life. But then also too, as someone mentioned, having some alone time, so just taking a moment, but then also having that socializing as well too. I think there's a nice balance between those both worlds, and it really can help us get that escape, but also know that we're supported by our friends and loved ones too. So just some things that we can think about when it comes to our self-care. And lastly, before we finish up, just a couple of things that you can utilize, a little food for thought. So on our website at giantfood.com, we have our Healthy Living by Giant podcast. And we actually have 2 episodes that are all about self-care. So we have one that's focused on self-care and mindfulness for women, and another episode on loving yourself, focusing on your mind and body. And those are all available on our website or your favorite podcast app. So if you're looking for some other self-care strategies, I welcome you to check those out. All right. And as we wrap up, just a little bit more about the things that we offer. If there's anything that we can support you with at home, whether it's making quick meals that are time saving, anything that can make your life a little bit easier in the health and wellness field, we are happy to assist. At Giant, we have our whole team of dietitians, and we provide free services. So on all topics related to meal planning, eating on a budget, helping you find items maybe for the individual that you're caring for. Maybe it's finding foods to meet their protein needs, or find foods that are enjoyable or meet their consistency needs. You name it, we are happy to help. And of course, you can always connect with us at healthyliving@giantfood.com. I handle all those emails, so I'm always happy to assist you in any way. And then again, you can check out our website, giantfood.com/healthyliving. And if you're looking for some fun inspiration or want to take a moment for some self-care, I highly recommend checking out our Facebook and our TikTok account. Our TikTok has a wonderful short videos from our team members that I have to say are really cute and adorable. And it's just a nice little escape for a few minutes, plus learn a few health and wellness tips. So with that, I'm going to pause and see if anyone has any questions. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat here. All right. Perfect. Oh, great question. So we have our Savory magazine. That's our primary tool for recipes, and our newest edition will be in store this week for May into June. You can also go online at giantfood.com and check out all of our recipes. All of the current and past editions of Savory are available on there, but we won't have the printed pamphlets per se. Yes, and I would say, Albert, I think that's a great common self-care for men. Absolutely. I think everyone has needs, and it might be in different ways. So I totally agree. So I see a future podcast episode. Great. Awesome. Wonderful. Great. If we don't have any other questions, I will turn it back over to you, Kathleen. And maybe it looks like my internet may have gotten a little finicky there for just a second.
Right. Well,
Did I freeze a little? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm glad I'm still here.
Oh, there's one more question.
Oh, yes. So the easiest way that you can reach me directly, you can use our direct email, healthyliving@giantfood.com. I handle that email box. So I respond to every single inquiry that comes in. And so if there's anything specific that I can assist you with, feel free to send an email. I check that all the time. Yes, great question.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Melanie, so very much. That was wonderful. Definitely use those strategies daily and be more mindful when we eat and what we're eating and when. So thank you again.
Awesome.
All right. So now we're going to turn this back to Lynn for one final prize drawing before we end the conference.
All righty, let me bring that wheel back up again. Should be coming up.
Yeah.
All righty, we'll see who the lucky winner is this time. Linda Tate. Complimentary basket. This one is a self-care basket, and it's compliments of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Upsilon Epsilon Omega, Baltimore County Chapter. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it. Well, it was a wonderful morning full of self-care tips and exercises that we can use on a daily basis. I hope this training brought you a better sense of how you can incorporate these techniques of relaxation, meditation, and give you a better understanding of how to take care of yourself as a caregiver while you're taking care of others. I appreciate your patience and your flexibility with our schedule and our technology issues. I want to thank all of our speakers, Al, Casey, Melanie. I want to thank our supporters, Lynn McCamey and Jerome Void with the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Epsilon Omega chapter of Baltimore County. And I want to thank our wonderful communication team led by Ethel Rasmussen and Diane O'Brien. Caregivers program is here for you. We are available 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Do not hesitate to reach out to us via email, caregivers@baltimorecountymaryland.gov, or give us a call at 410-887-4724. Up on the screen for you. I'm sure many of you have that. We are going to be including a survey in the chat, as well as sending it out to you via email. And we hope you take some time to give us some feedback about today's conference. Let us know what you liked, how things went, and quality of the presentations, and also give us some feedback on what you would like to see in the future, because we're always looking at providing more topics for you and more support. So whatever we can do to best support you and your caregiving needs, we would truly appreciate.